Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
everybody.
Good afternoon, Jean-Philippe. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Charlotte, and good afternoon, everyone.
So thank you for joining us today. Just before we start, don't worry about taking notes. We will send you the presentation afterwards. So for the last person who joined, today with Jean-Philippe Soulard, we are going to present you how does keratin hydrolysate improve skin, hair, and nails. Let's start with a presentation about us and about our company, BCF Life Sciences. So I am Charlotte Baumann. I am a business developer in Europe for human health. And I have been working for food supplements industry since 6 years now. Jean-Philippe.
Thank you, Charlotte. I'm Jean-Philippe Soulard. I am a human health R&D manager working for BCF Life Sciences for 5 years now, and I'm expert in nutraceuticals.
A few words about BCF Life Sciences. So BCF Life Sciences is a French company. We are based in the west of France, in Brittany. It is established since 1986, and we are specialized in the extraction of natural keratin from feather. So I will go on the content of the presentation. So I will start with a short introduction, and then I will let Jean-Philippe introduce you to keratin hydrolysate, and then present you KeraDiet and the clinical study results. We will end with the Q&A, so your questions. So a few words about nutraceuticals industry and market. So as you may know, more and more food supplements are praised for beauty applications. And maybe you've heard of the concept of in and out. So nutraceuticals and cosmetics. So beauty from inside and from outside. From inside, thanks to nutraceutical, and from outside, thanks to cosmetics. And this is how the word nutri-cosmetics has been created and is now very used in the nutraceutical industry. Some data, so you may know that 1 out of 4 consumers of food supplements cite the beauty of skin, hair, and nails as a reason to buy nutraceuticals. This is the data from Harris Interactive for KeraDiet from 2022. Today we are going to talk a lot about proven performance, and you may know that authorized claims are sometimes not enough for consumers, but also for the industry. So we need to have proven performance, and proven performance is a clinical study in our case. And we are using beauty claims from the clinical studies. So the clinical studies allow us to see visible results quickly, as for example, the before and after results that you can see on some products and for some beauty ingredients. Now I will leave Jean-Philippe introduce you to keratin hydrolysate, what it is, and slowly go on the KeraDiet.
Okay. Thank you very much, Charlotte. So we are going to talk today about keratin hydrolysate. First of all, we need to give a little bit of definition. Keratin hydrolysates come from keratin, so I will quickly talk about keratin. We need to define it. So what is keratin? It's a most abundant biomaterial produced by animals after collagen. So keratin is a protein and is a very strong and rigid protein that forms the structure of and gives the mechanical properties of skin, hair, and nails. So I will give you an example of keratin, a well-known example, which is hair keratin. You have here on the left part of the screen a figure representing a hair. And if you go deep into the structure, you will see the composition of the keratin, or the structure of the keratin, which is composed of filaments. You see here a representation of filaments. We talk of helical structure that gives the keratin its strength, as just said before. As mentioned, when we talk of helical structure in this particularity, we talk about alpha keratin. Keratin, well, is a protein, and as a protein is made of amino acids. So keratin is a chain of amino acids, and particularly for hair keratin, you have one amino acid which is L-cysteine, composing, which is the most abundant amino acid of hair keratin, which can create what we call disulfide bridge. So you have them on the representation on the figure on the left part of the screen that contributes to this strength and to this mechanical properties of keratin, and it's particularly important for what follows. Well, so what we see is that keratin is a very interesting source because it's abundant and because it's rich in amino acids, but keratin has no nutritive values as keratin is not accessible to human enzymes. So it's not digestible. Putting it another way, amino acids that are contained in the keratin are not assimilables from native keratin. So you will need a specific process to release these amino acids. And that's what we are going to see right now. So it exists a lot of process to release amino acids from keratin. One of them is what we call an extensive hydrolysis. What it makes is that it breaks down the keratin into peptides, peptides being chain of several amino acids, and it breaks down keratin into single amino acids. Let's call them free amino acids. So depending on the extent of the process, you will have more or less free amino acids as a result. You can characterize the hydrolysis process, or let's say the quality of the keratin hydrolysate product by another measurement, which is called molecular weight. So when we talk about extensive hydrolysis, the molecular weight in average is around 1,000 or 800 daltons. So to sum up this point, the more you will have an extent of the hydrolysis, the more you will obtain free amino acids at the end. To keep going, we enter a little bit more into the detail with a particular case of extensive hydrolysis, which is extensive acid hydrolysis. So it's a process that we perform at BCF Life Sciences. And just to precise it, why extensive acid hydrolysis? First of all, because it is the most efficient method to obtain free amino acid of L form. So maybe I should precise here what we call L form. You may know that you have two kinds of amino acids, L form or D form. The L form is a mirror of the other one. And what is important and what is to remind is that the L form of amino acid is the unique form which is used by living organisms. So it's important to have a process selecting that, and it's what does the extensive acid hydrolysis. So it's a process that requires a high level of know-how, and that should be very well controlled. And just to give you an example, this kind of process, depending on the product, requires between 13 and 30 steps. So it's a complex process. But at the end of the process, you start from keratin and you release amino acids. And with an extensive acid hydrolysis, you will reach a keratin hydrolysate with the highest amount in free amino acids of highest amount of the market. Okay. After saying that allow me to introduce you the product we use for the clinical trial that we will present just after. So this product is a KeraDiet, which is a keratin hydrolysate. And you will be not surprised to see here its characteristic, because we've just introducing the process just earlier. So it's a product with a high concentration of amino acids, 89%, with now, a low molecular weight, 100, less than 100 Dalton, which is characteristic of an extensive acid hydrolysis, and a product with a high digestibility of 96%, which is a standard of high quality protein in terms of digestibility. Here on this slide, you have also an additional figure, which is 94%. This is the percentage of free amino acids. This is the ratio of free amino acid content into the product. What does that mean? That means it's a very high content in free amino acids. That also means there is a 6% of remaining peptides. We already talked a little bit about peptides. And here, in this particular case, the peptides, small peptides we have are peptides of 2, 3, or 4 amino acids. Here on this slide, you have a typical profile of KeraDiet product with all the amino acids. So 17 amino acids you have represented here. Just to explain you, the percentage presented here is the percentage per amino acids in total amino acids. On the next slide, you have technical characteristics. I will go a little bit quick on that because you will have the presentation. So I will let you have a look on that, and so that we can skip to the next slide. So we are arriving to talk about clinical studies. So just before presenting our current clinical studies, a reminder about what we made in the past. We have a first clinical study on KeraDiet we made on 2017. Just for historic point, this clinical study was made with a daily dosage of 1,000 milligram KeraDiet. It was a study mainly focused on hair and nails, and with very good results that were published in 2 scientific journals. And from that clinical study, then we file a patent and we get a patent granted on KeraDiet process and application on hair and nails. So that allow me to introduce the new clinical study on which we are going to spend a little bit more time. And on the first slide, you will have the characteristic of the study. So the idea of this study was to be complementary to the previous one, to the one of 2017. So here the focus was, and the idea was to reduce the dosage. So we reduce the dosage at 500 milligrams per day. And the focus of this study was skin. We also measured some parameters on hair and nails, but the main focus was skin. And another important topic about this clinical study is that the product we tested was just pure keratin hydrolysate without any other added ingredient, meaning without vitamins nor minerals. So it's a 3-month study, 90 days, with a checkpoint at mid-study at 45 days. We made the study on 3 groups of 33 women, age going from 35 to 65 years old. And the group, we had 3 groups. So one group on the focus of the study, which is 500 milligrams. But we also decided to have one group of 1,000 milligrams, which was the quantity I just told you of the former study, clinical study of 2017, and it was used for us as a positive control, and then placebo, which was used as a negative control. So just to remind also something very important is that we respected the gold standard of clinical study because we made a randomized double-blind and placebo-controlled study. And that also means that in these 3 groups, the people having the different treatment, active treatments or placebo, did not know which treatment they were having. Here you have some parameters we measured. So we measured some parameters at 45 days and then at the end of the study at 90 days. I let you have a look on these different parameters. And we also measured some parameters at the end of the study after 90 days. At the end of the study, we also realized a self-assessment questionnaire, which for us is pretty important to have because it's complementary to device measurement. You can, if you want, you can measure things during the study, but then after, if you have a self-assessment questionnaire with a volunteer, it could be or not a support of what you measure. It's a way to see if what you've measured during the study is then perceptible at the end of the study by the volunteers. It's very important to have this complementary check. So we are going to enter into the detail. I'm not going all through the results because there are many results. We've made the choice just to pick up few results. But if you have any question on additional results or things we did not present it, do not hesitate to ask in the chat or after if you want to exchange on this topic. So first measurement we made is what we call the cutometer method. You have on the right part of the screen an example of the probe that is used on skin. This measurement is done on the basis of a suction elongation of the skin, and on the left part of the screen you have a graph with a suction phase and the deformation of the skin, and then a release phase of the skin. From this kind of graph, you have different parameters, and so you can make calculation. And some of these calculations give you the firmness and the elasticity of the skin. So we are going to see few results here. So here the results I'm showing regarding firmness and elasticity. On the left part of the screen, these results are the results of the 500 milligrams group at 90 days. So all the percentage you see here and the 2% on the left are a percentage of variation, meaning it's a variation, it's an improvement between the day 0 and the day 90, okay, for the group of 500 milligrams. So for elasticity, we reach an improvement of almost 6%. whereas for firmness, we reach an improvement about around 10%. You see on the right part of the screen more detail, and we took the example of skin firmness. So you can focus also on the yellow bar. The yellow bar is the 500 milligrams KeraDiet treatment. So you will find here after 90 days, the 9.8% improvement. Just to explain a little bit here about this bar chart, you have the percentage of evolution after 90 days, but you also have the percentage of variation at the checkpoint after 45 days. So what is interesting to note here is that the both group of active treatment, 500 milligrams and 1000 milligrams, are very statistically different from placebo. Placebo is a gray bar. And between them, between both treatment, the 500 milligram and the positive control, 1000 milligram, there is no statistical differences. Another pretty interesting point is that we have statistical differences from day 45 that is then improving at 90 days. Just to give you a little bit more of information, what is the light bar on the top of the colored bar is what we call the standard error of mean, which is an image of the variability into a group that allows us to make the statistical calculation. Okay, then you will see on the other graph, it will be the same representation, so it will be easier to have a look. So the next parameters we measured, it's what we call the profilometry. So profilometry, when we talk about profilometry here, we measured 3 parameters on wrinkles. So wrinkle depth, wrinkle length, and wrinkle area. We also measure another parameter, which is skin smoothness. These measurements are made with a device which is called Primos 3D, which is a device that works with light projection and then with computer analysis. And on the left part of the screen, you have 2 examples of image for the computer analysis. Regarding the results of this measurement, on the left part of the screen, the same. You have the results of the 500 milligram groups at 90 days. So you see a decrease of different wrinkle parameters, the 3 parameters we measured, and an improvement of smoothness up to 6.4%. In the same way of representation, on the bar chart on the right part of the screen, you have the example of wrinkle depth with the checkpoint at day 45, and then the measurement at the end of the study at day 90. And in the same way here, you see that there is a huge statistical difference with the placebo at 45 days and at 90 days. And that between both treatments, so the 500 milligrams and the positive control, you don't have a statistical difference. What I can tell you also, and that does not appear on this graph, is that you have also statistical differences between the day 0, with the day 45 and day 90. That's also very important. All the data we're presenting here have both statistical significance compared to placebo, which is very important, but also within one group compared to the day 0. It's important to note that. Okay, so let's keep going, and we go to the last set of measurement we will present to you today, which is the brightness. The brightness is measured with a device called spectrophotometer and the method, which is the 8-degree gloss value. You have on the right part of the screen a representation of the device, which is also a probe. This device emits light and then measures the reflected light with 8-degree gloss value, hence its name. So we made measurements of brightness on skin, hair, and nails. And that's results we will see just right now. So in the same way, on the left part of the screen, you have results for skin, hair, and nail gloss at 500 milligrams, 90 days, with very important improvement. And we take on the right part of the screen the example of nail gloss, which is an improvement of 62.2% after 90 days. In the same way here, you have important differences in comparison to placebo, and you don't have statistical differences between the 500 milligram KeraDiet treatment with positive control. Okay. As I already mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, at the end of the study, we made self-assessment questionnaire. So self-assessment questionnaire is very important to check that what we measured is also perceived by the volunteers of the study. Just to give you the global picture of this self-assessment questionnaire, we had 29 questions. Here I show you the question related to skin. We had 16 questions on skin, and here just for the spider graph representation, we extract 6 questions on skin. So let's take an example. I will take skin less wrinkle. The initial question is, in that case, does my skin seem less wrinkled? And to explain you how it works, the volunteers had 4 answers possible. Totally agree, disagree, or totally disagree. And the percentage that you can read here is a percentage of positive answer, meaning positive answer, it's totally agree plus agree. So the percentage you see here on the representation, you can see the KeraDiet 500 milligrams we represented here. All these parameters are around 80% of satisfaction, whereas for the placebo, we are around 50%. So we have here also a big differences, meaning that a clear difference was perceived by the subject of the clinical study. Okay. An important topic on this slide also is that the question we choose on skin are directly related with the measurement we made. You see here smoothness, wrinkle, hydration, firmness, etc. So it's an important point for skin as being the focus of the study. Then we made the same kind of questionnaire for hair. Of course, there are less questions because it was not the main focus of this study. So we had 5 questions. And here, maybe what is interesting to note is that the questions were more related to the previous clinical study, the study of 2017. You can see air resistance, air density, for example. We wanted to have a check with this 2017 study. Okay. So here also you can see a big difference between the KeraDiet 500 milligram treatment and the placebo. And for the next slide, we made the same thing for nails. You have also here 5 questions on nails, more related with the 2017 clinical study with nail resistance, with nail sickness, for example. But we had also a common question like nail brightness. And here also you have a big difference of perception between the KeraDiet 500 milligrams and the placebo. I should just remind you, seeing this self-assessment questionnaire, that we are in a double-blind protocol. So meaning that people answering the self-assessment questionnaire did not know which treatment they had. So it's pretty important to note that. So if we want to sum up all what we say, if there are just few points to remember, first of all is that native creatine requires an hydrolysis process to release free amino acids. Then that KeraDiet is the richest keratin hydrolysate in free amino acids of L form on the market. And then regarding the clinical trials, so both clinical trials, 2017, and then the current one that was performed in 2023, keratin hydrolysate was efficient on skin, hair, and nails, on subjects presenting aging signs, and with a daily dosage of 500 milligrams per day. Other point which is important to remind on this clinical study is that the product, the keratin hydrolysate used, was used as a sole ingredient without any other added ingredient like vitamins or minerals. Next point is that self-assessment questionnaire was supporting the measurement made during the clinical study. And the last point is that we have 2 patents. One patent was granted after the first clinical study, as I already mentioned, and we filed a second patent in 2023 after the clinical study that we focused on skin. And the second patent is on the process and on skin applications. And I think that's it for this quick overview of keratin hydrolysate and clinical study. Of course, we didn't go all through all the results, but if you have any question on the other results, do not hesitate to ask in the chat. And I will let the final word to Charlotte before going to your question, if you have some.
Thank you so much, Jean-Philippe. This was very, very interesting and very clear. So if you still have some questions and if you want to contact us, you can contact us per email. You can see our email addresses on the screen. We would also love to have you on our booth at VitaFoods. This is the opportunity for the whole industry to meet, and we would love to go further on the results, on the studies, and to answer all your questions that could come to your mind later. I think we can go on with the questions that we received. I think we will answer that, both of us, Jean-Philippe, and I will pick some questions. So, first questions that I see. So it is interesting to have these clinical studies results, but do you know how keratin hydrolysate works? So I think this is a question on the mode of action, and I think I can leave Jean-Philippe answer to that.
Yes, I will take this question, Charlotte. Thank you. It's a very interesting question. Yes, we have a few hints about it. So far, we realized clinical studies to see the effect of the keratin hydrolysate. But yes, in fact, we made so far in vitro trials. So we have very recent results on in vitro trials that we get the end of 2023. These are in vitro trials on two cell models. One is keratinocytes, and the other one is fibroblasts. So keratinocytes are the cells that produce keratin, and fibroblasts, the cells that produce, among others, collagen. What we made, I won't enter into the detail, but we have few results in, let's say, an oxidative stress condition to mimic cell aging. And we made a measurement. For example, we observe ROS reduction, so rapid oxygen species, and then we made measurements on biomarkers of senescence or apoptosis of the cells. This kind of measurement. So we can talk more about it later if you are interested. Maybe what is interesting also is that the mode of action is always a question which it's not easy to tackle. So I hope we will have more results regarding the mode of action, but not in vitro results, but clinical results. And we should have this kind of results by the end of 2024, maybe early 2025.
Okay, thank you, Jean-Philippe. I picked one other question, which is, what is the difference between KeraDiet and vegetal keratin? So just so you know, vegetal keratin is a marketing term. Maybe Jean-Philippe, you have something to add to this
yes
question.
Yes, you're right. It's mainly a marketing term. You need to know that the keratin, by definition, it's always from animal origin. So when you see keratin hydrolysate on a product, on a label, for example, what it tries to do is that it tries to reproduce the composition in amino acids of natural keratin, of animal keratin. But then you don't know more about the process, whether if it's an hydrolysis process from vegetables, whether it is a fermentation or other kind of process.
Okay.
That's what
Thank
I can
you.
say.
I see one question which is very interesting. It's about the claims available. So I will answer to that question because actually we explored the claims available with our regulatory team because this is something our customers actually are looking for. What claims are available with the use of KeraDiet. So we have several beauty claims thanks to our 2 clinical studies. And we can communicate about those claims, those beauty claims, if we use the daily dosage of the study, which is 500 milligram. So for example, I think we have one claim about skin, for example, which is KeraDiet improves skin firmness or skin glow. And on nail and hair, for example, we can use the claims KeraDiet improves nail hardness or hair gloss, which are the things we measured during the clinical study. But if you want to know more, you can always ask about all the claims available for KeraDiet. Going through all the questions. Okay, so can you tell us more about what are free and total amino acids? So Jean-Philippe, you talked
I will
about
take
that.
this question. Yes, thank you, Charlotte. Yes, I talked a little bit during the presentation. It's right. I talk a lot about free amino acids, a little bit about total amino acids. So let's explain. Maybe it was not so clear. You start from a protein, so made of it's a chain of amino acids, and then depending on the process, you will cut down this protein into single amino acids. These single amino acids are what we call free amino acids. And then, depending on the process, on the extent of the process, you can have a different amount of free amino acids at the end of the process, and the remaining part are peptides. So peptides are, let's say, small parts of keratin, which are cut and which are a chain of amino acids. So it could be a small chain of amino acids, 2, 3, 4, 5 amino acids, as it could be a bigger chain of amino acids. And in that case, we talk about, let's say, macropeptides. It could be up or more than 100 amino acids. So it really depends on the kind of process. So in a defined product, you will have a mix of these two, the free amino acids and peptides. So free amino acids, we define it, it's pretty clear. Then in your question, you add total amino acid. What we call total amino acids, you take, for example, one example, we talk about cysteine. To get the total cysteine, you will do the sum of free cysteine, so the single cysteine, with the cysteine which is trapped into peptides. So the sum of these two will be total amino acids. So it's more total amino acids. It's more a laboratory wording, but it's also what you see on labels. So it's important to know exactly when you see total amino acids and content in amino acids. It's important to see and have a look, to go a little bit deeper, to know which part is free amino acids and which part is trapped into peptides. And if we go even deeper, are there small peptides, medium peptides, or large chain peptides? And just to finish maybe on that, because sure, I mentioned a figure during the presentation, which was 94% of free amino acids. Maybe I was very quick on that, but when we say 94% of free amino acids for the KeraDiet, that means it is a ratio free amino acids part on total amino acids. So it's important to have this differentiation. Yes.
Okay. So both data are important.
Both data are important, and they really depend on the kind of process used to release amino acid from the native keratin. Yes.
Okay. This was very clear. Thank you, Jean-Philippe. So I'm sorry, time is running out. We will finish with one last question that I can answer. So the question is, can we use the brand KeraDiet on our finished product? And this is a question that we have very often also. So the brand KeraDiet, so this is a branded name, you can use as long as you have a daily dosage of 500 milligrams. So that you can use the results of our clinical study also. Just so you know, on the US market, you will find an ingredient which is KeraGlow. And KeraGlow is the name on the US market of KeraDiet. So we let the distribution of our KeraDiet on the US market to our distributor, NutriScience. And NutriScience decided to call it KeraGlow on the US market. So both ingredients are KeraDiet. So thank you everyone for your questions, for attending this webinar today with Jean-Philippe and myself. Once again, you can contact us per email, and we will come back to you with the presentation. And also, if we couldn't answer all your questions today, we will get back to you personally. And once again, please come see us at Vita Foods. It would be a pleasure to answer all your questions and to get to know each other. Thank you, Jean-Philippe.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for joining today. And see you soon.
Bye.